Hello, everybody. Raven fans, Oriole fans. Thank you for joining us this week on one of the best weeks we've had as Baltimore sports fans of Baltimore Sports Podcast, Ravery Sports Podcast. For fans like me, thank you for joining us. My name is Charles. I am the owner of Ravery Sports. Like and subscribe to all of our social media content that we have. If you're watching this, definitely watch us you're watching this on our YouTube channel, our Facebook page, our Twitter page, or X, whatever you want to call it these days. Twitter still works and X still works, or our Twitch channel. So you're definitely watching us right now on that. We do have our TikTok page, definitely, or channel, whatever my daughter called TikTok. There, we do shorts on there and on Instagram, so you can check us out there. Also to our LinkedIn page, if you do, that's more for our business side. There's a few videos on there, but basically that for people to understand the business side of that as far as our items and things like that. If you want to reach out there, you can buy our items right at the bottom of the screen, ravorisports.company.site. Definitely you can reach out on our Gmail as well, ravorisports@gmail.com. Genesis Notary Services /Facebook as well. So definitely notary business is picking up a little bit here. So we are grateful for all of you in the Shenandoah Valley that are looking at our notary business as well, that have called and reached out to me. Thank you very much for that. So definitely you can book this thing on there. Our phone information is on there as well. Genesis Notary Services. So thank you all for that as well. Well, we've had quite a good week here as Raven fans here. So we want to thank you very much for joining us as well. Here, we're going to go ahead and review the Ravens game that we just had. Ravens now at 2-0 all by themselves in the lead in the AFC North after a convincing tough win against the Cincinnati Bengals. So we're going to go ahead and chop this up here for all of you here. Get down to the business of football. We got a lot to get to this week. We're going to talk a lot of football. We're going to get to baseball. We're going to get contenders in baseball. We're going to get to a lot of this good stuff here this week. Lamar, a lot of the national media was very pleased with Lamar and everything, and I was too. I thought Lamar was what we needed to see. I thought Lamar was the reason why they did so well. I thought Lamar threw the ball very well in this game. Kind of, you're seeing the evolution, I think, him as he gets older. Not running as much, not as many design runs. I think there was maybe one or two it looked like it was design runs, or maybe he just took off on his own. He had like 50 yards rushing, 24 for 33, 237, 2 TDs. He did have the one fumble again, but that was called off with the penalty. So ball security, I thought, was much better from Lamar. I do see this, though, and I've noticed this with Lamar in this game, feeling the rush better. It seems ridiculous to say somebody as fast as he is that he's not elusive in the pocket, but it didn't look like before. A lot of times he understood. He was like, guys were rushing him, and he was like evading the rush, kind of feel the rush. So he's doing that better now. That's an evolution of a quarterback that's a little bit older, a little bit more veteran. I thought that was interesting. I've noticed that several times with that where the Bengals were trying to rush him, he would get away. Not just because of his great speed, but his ability to feel the rush, his instinct looked better in the pocket. Very impressive for Lamar. Gus Edwards, 10 carries, 62 yards, 1 TD. He led the team in rushing. He did not start. Looks like Justice Hill is starting, guys. I think he's going to get a lot of carries. They're going to split these carries, but it doesn't look like they intend to make him the bell cow. Justice Hill, again, now he had more rushing yards, which is why he's up here. He had the 1 TD, but I think Justice Hill's going to get a lot of carries. He's going to get a lot of action. Is talk of Cam Akers coming in. That's just a rumor. Apparently, Ravens maybe have some interest in him. I don't know if they're going to bring in a back. I think they may pull a trigger on a back. if necessary. If they feel if they can get one for a good price or something that they like. I don't think I wouldn't rule out that they're going to go ahead and sign a running back. Nelson Aguilar was the leading receiver. 5 receptions, 63 yards. Outstanding over-the-shoulder catch in the end zone. Say Flowers was good again. 4 receptions, 62 yards as well. Odell had a few catches as well in this one. He did leave the game with an ankle injury. I have not yet read the report. We're recording this before the injury reports come out on Wednesday. By all accounts, Odell should be able to play in this one. So keep that in mind as well. Receiving core looks fantastic, in my opinion. I mean, this is a massive upgrade compared to what we've had in years past. Defense, I thought looked better. I think it was very impressive considering how good the Bengals offense. The Bengals offense, maybe not quite as it was, but I thought this guy, Geno Stone, he's got this. And I said this last week, X Factor. This is his opportunity to show that he's a starting NFL safety. He's going to play quite a bit here. Marcus Williams won't be back for a while, maybe at least half a season for Marcus Williams. So this is a good opportunity for Geno Stone. I thought this interception changed the entire game. Intercepting Joe Burrow in the red zone when the Bengals were driving in. Then the Ravens get a long pass to Zay Flowers on the other end. They score. That swing probably was the difference in the game, in my opinion. So excellent, timely pick for Geno Stone. I thought the whole secondary, considering how good the Bengals are at the receiving core, was very good. I thought Brandon Stevens looks like he's playing at the outside corner. I thought he was playing a lot. I saw him the most. Darby, I thought was good. Rackison played as well. Considering the injuries, not having your best guy, that was decent. I'll take it. I'll take that performance that they had. And the pass rush up the middle is fantastic for this team. No question about it. Joe Burrow looked a little off. Better than he was the week before, but he still didn't look like the guy we've been seeing. 27 for 41, 222 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Word is also too, his ankle is still bothering him. He may not play this week, the coming week. That's serious. That's a serious injury that he had. He didn't play at all in preseason. He got injured the first week, so he really didn't have a preseason. That, I don't care what anybody says, that catches up to you. If you're injured, especially like if you're a veteran, like a Javian Clowney, use that for example, who didn't go to camp and you're perfectly healthy, you could argue that one. But if you're injured and you don't play, that kind of hurts you. I saw this years ago with Joe Flacco, where he didn't pretty much do anything at all in preseason, and it kind of took him about 7-8 games to get back to where he was. So we'll see with Joe Burrow. I think the Ravens kind of caught a break catching him so early. Joe Mixon's stat line is pretty much almost identical than it was the week before. 13 of 59. I hate to repeat myself, but it seems like these teams just forget to use running backs. It's wild. I know they were behind, but this was, I mean, he had 13.59. He had over 4 yards a carry, and they like forget to use them. These teams, like, they just forget to run the ball at times. I think that would have done them a lot of good, considering the Burrow injury. But again, I thought Mixon was good and underutilized. That's kind of the story of his whole career there in Cincinnati. T. Higgins was their best receiver. I thought they spent a lot of energy stopping Jamar Chase, which is a good idea, considering he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. They looked a little off. Higgins, I think, had more success. Higgins absolutely had more success. I think they paid. Look, you're going to play this receiving core. You're going to have to pick your poison. I thought Tyler Boyd was good too. So they were clearly making sure that it was Chase that didn't destroy him. And that's a well-contained day. 889. I mean, that's obviously a good stat line. 2 TDs, but that's for that to play Cincinnati. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. As far as that goes, whole new defensive group in the back end for the Bengals. I think Dak Hill and Nick Scott replaced Jesse Bates and that crew there on the back end. He had 11 tackles. I didn't even know until watching the game that he was Justice Hill's brother, that they were related. So I had no idea that was the case. I thought he was probably the best defensive player there, all day long. He was hitting. He was all over the field with them. They pretty much uh, did a good enough job against their ends. They're really the strength, I think, of that defense for the Bengals is their D line, BJ Hill, and the two ends there, Sam Hubbard and Trey Hendrickson. They didn't go too crazy on them. Lamar had to evade the rush a lot, but I thought it was more. They weren't able to get home. They had a lot of these guys. Dax Hill, Nick Scott had to make a lot of tackles. I think that's what happened there. Bengals, I think, looked a little off the first 2 weeks. I would say this: the big difference between them and Kansas City, a lot of times, and I've said this the last couple of years, is consistency. They're not as consistent for whatever reason. They'll go through these stretches and they look unbeatable, and then they kind of look like this. And also slow starts. Bengals now are 0-2. Ravens are 2-0. Another kind of slow start for the Ravens. I'm sorry, another slow start for the Bengals. And I think the Ravens could be an outstanding position here early because you have, and I said it when the schedule came out, you got the Bengals early on the road, Browns early on the road, Steelers early on the road. So you're getting all these tough road games out early. Division. So when you actually go later in the season and you have to play these teams again, you're going to go ahead and play them. You're going to go ahead and we these games later in the season, and then you're going to go ahead and play them. You're going to go ahead and play them at home, which is so important to go ahead and take care of business with that. All right. So we are going ahead and we're talking about the next game here. Let's go ahead and get that squared away. The Colts. So how many of you, if you certain age watching this, I'm not quite old enough to have the Colts hate like some of you have, but I know if you watch it, you 50 plus, are you watching this, probably still have hate for the Baltimore Colts as they once were years ago, left on the Mayflower in 83. If you're a Baltimorean at all, if you know the history, they showed it about 80 times there on the Mayflower, right in front of now the Ravens complex in Owings Mills, which is pretty much, I mean, they've obviously built it up tremendously since then. The Ravens complex. You could hardly recognize it from when it was back then, but also to the animist and all the all the negative with the Ravens with them all those years ago that left. So now we are here. It is Colts week here, and we are going to go ahead and get that squared away. We're going to take a look at how this Indianapolis Colts team looks. I say this. These are two also. I've made great fun of the Colts. I think probably they have, uh, for me, they probably have the worst owner, I think, in the NFL. I think Jim Irsay. I'm not in love with their GM, Chris Ballard, either. Um, so because I kind of think he's just annoying and that's just my personal opinion. And he's a tough GM to deal with. I can't figure out if he's a good GM or a bad GM. Kind of like I feel like him about like Ron Rivera. Uh, he's good, I think. And then I see him do silly stuff. The Colts with their cap for years. Um, for years they had so much cap space, and they wouldn't spend it. They let the league in cap, I think, and like unused cap for years. And then it was funny, and then they blamed the daggone Carson Wentz, and they blame, uh, they have issues. They have issues. Um, I don't think the Colts are very good. Let's go on the field here with the Colts. Gardner Minshew, I think 171. Now we don't know if Anthony Richardson is going to play. I thinking Sports Illustrated reported that it's likely that Anthony Richardson doesn't play. Concussion protocol, it's tough to tell. You never know. I think the Ravens were saying, and they probably early said that what they teams kind of do this anyway more than they say publicly, but they're preparing for both guys. They're thinking that both guys might play. So that's hard to do. But I think either way, I think it's going to be Gardner Minshew in this thing. I think that's actually the worst of two evils at this point. Richardson's still a young player. Minshew's a veteran. Minshew's, I think, always been better than anybody ever gives him credit for. I don't know what he does wrong to keep taken out and keep getting replaced. Not in anything close to a prototypical size, but he actually is very. I've always kind of liked his accuracy throwing the ball. He doesn't have a big arm, but I think he's more than serviceable. I think if some team gave him a contract or whatever, I don't think he's that far away from some of these guys like Sam Howell or that are getting a chance. I don't think so. Minshew, I think, is that if you're playing Anthony Richardson, rush lanes, rush lanes, rush lanes. This might be the only player in the league faster than Lamar Jackson if you're playing Anthony Richardson. I think, though, it's going to be Gardner Minshew. Zach Moss, 25 carries, 144. He's basically now without Jonathan Taylor. This is going to be your guy that you're going to be facing. I doubtful Jonathan Taylor walks through the door at any time this year for the Colts. They're going to go ahead and they're going to play Zach Moss. It looks like he's going to be their number one back. He's not bad. I think he's off to. I think there is a big drop off with him and Taylor, but I think he's pretty decent of a back. He's probably at the level, I would say, a little bit less than a Gus Edwards is. I would take Gus Edwards over him, but he's in that area. This is a good receiver, Michael Pittman, 16 receptions, 153, off to a great start, 1 TD. He's going to get a lot of attention, probably. If you want to go ahead and beat the Colts, this is going to be Minshew's number one target. I think very, very good hands that he has. I've always been impressed with the hands on Michael Pittman that he has. Second generation player. Remember his dad playing in the league. So Pittman, better, not a big receiver by any stretch, but great hands, good speed. I think Pittman, that's going to be the focus for the Ravens on defense. Shaquille used to be Darius Leonard, 30 tackles already in this year. Zaire Franklin is another one as well. I think Zaire is probably their best defensive player. I think Leonard, rather, is the best defensive player. Zaire Franklin, though, I think is also having a great year for him. That's pretty much the strength of the team. Inside linebacker, the linebacking core is still very good. I don't think the defense is really good. They got a lot of holes. They lost Stephon Gilmore. Kwity Paye is still kind of they're basically strong running, stopping the run, and their run back. They basically cut the running the rush lanes very well. So Gus Edwards and they running the ball going to have a difficult time against these really good linebackers that the Colts have. What about us? The Colts, the Ravens, Lamar back on track. 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. I thought Lamar looked very good last week. I thought I'd have liked to see it again, though. more passing yards per se. I think I'm still 254. I want to see him with the 300-yard days with more 350 and things like that. It's kind of like a little bit of room, a little bit like 300 yards total offense, obviously good. But I like to see more with the pure passing yards. Gus Edwards, his season, 18 carries, 96 yards. I think Gus has been very good so far. Again, not getting the ball enough. Not getting the ball enough to really, he's kind of coming in and out with Justice Hill, things like that. I really believe he should be your bell cow, but Justice Hill, this is kind of the thing with Randall. They don't want to do too much with that. Odell, I think, will play 5 receptions, 68 yards. I thought he was coming around in the game last week before he had the injury because they didn't have the double coverage on him. I think Odell, if healthy, is going to be fine. I like, believe it or not, I actually like the way he played. He's getting a lot of attention, not forcing anything. Lamar's not forcing anything. So I think it's only a matter of time before Odell kind of breaks out. X Factor, we're calling it this year. Marlon Humphrey. Don't have no idea if he'll play. I got a feeling he's going to try and play in this one. If he doesn't, I think you're going to see more, obviously, of the same. As we've seen, Brandon Stevens, Rocky Sin, etc. in that group. We will see. Looks like Darby now, instead of Arthur Mallet, is getting most of the reps in there. So that's going to be interesting. Can Marlon Humphrey get on the field? You can put this guy as an X factor every week. Say Flowers, Mark Andrews played last week for the first time, got a touchdown. This guy is X anywhere on the field. Put the ball in his hands, catch it in space. He's going to make big plays written all over him. Zay Flowers, I think, is the X factor for the Ravens. If they can horse race him out of here, I think they will. 35-14, Ravens over the Colts. Colts, not enough bullets in the gun. Ravens, I think, offensively are going to be too strong. Defense is not that great with the Colts, I mean, from what I've seen. Young quarterback, young running back. I don't think you score a lot of points. I think the passing game isn't great. Defensively, I think the pass rush is kind of not acceptable. I do think the Ravens do have offensive line issues. But even that I thought was fine last week. I thought McCary, I think we know what we're getting with Patrick McCary. And I think Mustipher was promoted to the 53 full-time. I like him. I think I thought he was fine. I thought they're not as good. I don't think they're going to stay in with Stanley and Lindenbaum come in, but I think these guys in the role, fine. I think the Ravens handled this one easily, 35-14 over the Indianapolis, used to be Baltimore Colts. All right. So let's go ahead and talk about larger NFL content. We're going to go ahead and do that as well. Our Big Five. So these are the 5 biggest games on the schedule that are not Raven games this week. Last week, lots of NFL action was going on all over the league. Chargers, I'm sorry. Let's start with the Chiefs. Chiefs won 17-9. I thought the Chiefs would bounce back. They generally are not going to lose 2 games in a row. Jets, I don't know if it says more. I think it says more about the Cowboys, even though they got rolled. I think no Aaron Rodgers, obviously, they're not going to score a lot of points, but I think the Cowboys so convincingly still. That was pretty impressive that they were able to go ahead and do that as well. New England, Miami's really good. I think Miami is really, really good offensively when they are really rolling. I think New England, I think, had the right game plan, but just not enough talent on offense. They really kind of scuffle on offense. So I think that's that's probably their biggest issue. That's probably that's definitely their biggest issue there. So a lot of good games last week. We're gonna have our big slate of games this week. 5 big games that are not Ravens games. Thursday night, the Giants going against the 49ers. Giants, good comeback there last week. Pretty resilient stuff. They went ahead and won next week in Arizona. 49ers look great. Niners are really, really good. I don't have power rankings. I'd have them at 1. I think they're pretty flawless. I really can't see looking at that roster. Running back is great, wide receiver is great, tight end great, offensive line really good. And so far they haven't had any really big blowout injuries. Now, knock wood, it's the NFL, but Bosa, this is really good. Giants, I can't go with you with Daniel Jones though, man. I just can't do it. I think they're not going to have enough offense as well. They're going to have to rely more on Daniel Jones because they have the Saquon Barkley injury. They did actually go ahead and pull it out last week. I don't think there's any way they go on a short week out to the West Coast and beat the Niners. I think the Niners win that game. The Saints victorious last week as well over Carolina on a Monday night. They're going into Lambeau Field to go ahead and play the Green Bay Packers on the frozen tundra. Packers. I still don't know how good the Packers are. Because I still don't know how good Jordan Love is. He looked great the 1 week, but that was the Bears. And so they lost the last week. I'm still not sure. I know how good David Carr is. David Carr is really good. I think this was I've kind of said this. Him moving out of Las Vegas could be the best thing that ever happened to him. That they were forever a mess. I don't know how great of an offensive coach he has, or a great of a coach, but like he on this team with the guys they have, that pass to Chris Olave last week was fantastic. Carr, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid with Carr. I think their defense as well. I'm still just not buying Jordan Love yet. I think they'll outscore them. I think it'll be close. Packers defense still seems to be decent, though. I will say. I think if they can, I'm still where I was at the beginning of the year with them. If Jordan Love can become what they need, I think they can go to the playoffs. I'm still thinking that's not true. This will be his true test here against a good Saints defense with Marshawn Lattimore, Cameron Jordan, Demario Davis. I'm going to take the Saints in this one against the Packers. The big division game here for both teams. Patriots 0-2, Jets 1-1. The way Miami's look, this is going to be big for both teams. The Patriots just not enough points. I think like the problem, you're Devontae Parker kind of Juju Smith-Schuster's better. They got a little bit better. They're the thing with New England's offense is their offensive line is not anywhere near what it used to be. They used to have I think that was so underrated throughout their championship years and their run, how great their offensive lines consistently were. Not the case anymore. Mac Jones is getting better as quiet as it's kept. I think Jones, is definitely improving on offense as well. He looks like a guy like just not enough help. The Jets, we know what they are. Zach Wilson under the helm. I think the defense is going to have to carry him. I don't think in this one they're going to be in this game. I can tell you why. The Patriots offense doesn't have really the ability to horse race them out of there. So if Wilson can play a passable game, I think they have a shot at home. But I like the Patriots here to win. Sense of desperation. Patriots traditionally don't do well in September either. It's very complex, very hard chart, and they seem to scuffle at the start. But Lost 2 home games. I think they're going to be desperate to win that one. Steelers and the Raiders, 2 of the old time teams, 2 of the best teams of the 1970s here, playing here in Las Vegas. Team with the immaculate reception, one of the greatest games ever played. Oh, the Squealers aren't bad. I think they lost last week. Defensively, they're fantastic. I think J.J. Watt and Highsmith, Alex Highsmith, they were swarming in that Monday night game. I heard a lot of people saying, "Well, what's wrong with Deshaun Watson? What's wrong with him? He was he was right for his life in that game. Missing some parts. Fitzpatrick got hurt. They're not going to have Cam Hayward for the foreseeable. That's going to be issues there. That's going to be issues there. Offensively, I kind of think like New England, they should be better. They Pickett, I think, is coming along. Their line isn't any good either. And I don't like their line going against the Raiders defense, going against those running Max Crosby and that kind of thinks like, man, I kind of imagine him being in their backfield all night. Raiders are so unpredictable whether they're going to be good or bad. They got really housed against Buffalo. I think they're going to come back at home and win this game. I think I'm thinking Garoppolo does have a better week this week than he had last week. Steelers offense, I just don't know what's going to show up, and their defense is kind of banged up. Losing Fitzpatrick and Hayward is a big deal. We don't know yet for sure that Fitzpatrick's not going to be there yet. But if he doesn't play, and I don't think he will, that's a big deal. I'm taking Las Vegas in this one. And here's 2 teams that are in unexpected situations here. The Rams 1-1 against the Bengals 0-2. This is probably the toughest one to call. Rams, I kind of thought would bounce back this year, and I think they did. I kind of put them in the same bucket last year as the Ravens were. So many injuries they had, and so I think they had a bad year. I think they didn't have so many of their guys. I think what's happening this year, they got a lot of young guys developing. They don't have Cooper Kupp yet. Stafford's been very good. A lot of their young guys on defense have really shown up. I think the Rams have a shot in this one. I don't know if Burrow's going to play. That's what makes this one tough. It's hard for me to think they're going to go on 3 though. It's hard for me to think they're going to go on 3. This is really big for the Bengals. I'm going to take Cincinnati mostly because I'm having a hard time thinking that they're going to go 0-3. But this is more based on the history than what I've seen on the field. If I'm just doing that, Rams definitely there. Rams lost last week. They lost to the Niners. You almost can't even be too hard on that. Bengals haven't looked the same. Bengals, they did look better than the week previous. And Burrow has to play. Burrow plays in this one. It'll be close, but I'm going to take the Bengals. If that's Burrow plays, I definitely think the Bengals will go ahead and beat the Rams. Still young, they're figuring out. Big five biggest games that are not on the Ravens schedule. So all those other games, enjoy all the other games are larger NFL content there. So there you go with that. Maryland, 42-14 over Virginia. This game was on Friday night. This game was on Friday night, not Saturday night. So I watched the game on FS1. It was 1 second here. Management appreciate your cooperation. They've won convincing fashion in all 3 games, right? They beat Towson 38-6. They won this game 42-14. They beat Charlotte by like over 20. I'm gonna think you might think this is silly. I think they've kind of underachieved. I've kind of caught breaks on these games. They didn't look again, it kind of seems silly. The Towson game, it looked like they were playing in half speed, playing a team that's not FBS. They were so far away from them. I thought they had a horrible start in the Charlotte game, and they weren't any good in the first half, and they kind of turned on second half. This one, I thought Tua, I keep saying Tua, Tua Tagovailoa, I think he was better at the start, but I think they were able to overcome it. They're gonna have to play better in Big Ten from what I've seen. They played 3, I think, really bad teams. Well, to be fair, 2 bad teams and 1 team that's really not on their level at all. I think they're gonna have to play better in Big Ten teams. They're actually catching a break with all the mess that's going on in Michigan State. Tucker, I think, was effectively told he was going to be fired. No Tucker. So we'll look at that game Saturday when Maryland goes at Michigan State. We'll talk about that a little bit more in depth going at in October when they play the Buckeyes. That'll be big. Can they be 5-0? They have a shot, despite everything I just said. If they win this week, you'll probably beat Indiana. That could be a big game for the as well. So we'll go ahead and take a look in the Terps as well. Our Maryland basketball preview, I went ahead and decided that's going to be in November. We're going to go ahead and read through Terps basketball the night before the season starts. We're going to do a video for the Maryland Terps basketball. Definitely check that out. Posted that on our Facebook page and our Twitter page as well. Okay, so we're going to take a look at the MLB playoff picture. Orioles are going to the playoffs, and I think maybe if you haven't seen some of the other teams, we're going to take a look. We're going to dive in a little bit with the teams that are going to be contending for the World Series. Orioles definitely in the playoffs. We're going to go over that and see how well they do going forward. But we're going to also take a look at the competition here. We're going to go the other way. Let's go backwards. All right, let's try it. All right, so I have these teams here: Yankees, Red Sox, Guardians. As of this recording, this is before the game on Wednesday, the 20th. They're still mathematically in it. Guardians would need a real miracle. Red Sox and Yankees effectively eliminated. But they're here, I think, because they're effectively not in it. Unless something weird happens, they're not going to get it in the AL. These are the other teams that are in it as well that are going to get in. We have a tie right now for the 6th spot. The Mariners are 6th. Mariners have been a tale of 2 seasons. They really struggled in the first half. They came out blazing right there to start the second half after the break, and now they kind of fell back a bit. Their pitching is fantastic. George Kirby and everything is there. Rodriguez Leora has been fantastic. Hey, young guy got an extension like Adley and all that, etc. Haven't gotten. The Mariners, I think, are right there. I think they're really good. This division in the West, I think, had they been in the Central, they'd definitely be winning the division. I don't know how far they're going to get in the playoffs. I don't know if this team has enough offense to go ahead and do that. They show up at times, but they basically, to me, seem like they're one guy on offense. Their starting pitching probably is as good. Their group of starting pitchers, rather, not necessarily ERA, but their group of starting pitchers is very good. The Mariners are probably have a shot to get in. Rangers, they are tied with the Mariners as of this recording, and I believe they have the tiebreaker. So they would actually be in as of now. Rangers' story has been fantastic. I kind of thought they would take a big jump at the beginning of the year, and they have. Rangers have a lot of offense. I love Marcus Semien as a player. Max Scherzer, unfortunately for them, I think he's going to be out the rest of the season. Offensively, this is a pretty good team. I think they are probably a team. If they can get in, they could possibly do something. I like them a little bit more than Seattle. Uh, I like them. I think offensively and pitching wise, they are pretty good. Um, I think the Rangers have a shot actually when they actually get to playoffs. Blue Jays, Blue Jays, I think on paper they're the paper champions in the AL. I think talent-wise, you look at the rest of you look at Vlad Guerrero, you look at Kevin Biggio, you look at Bo Bichette, you look at some of the pitching, Robert, you look at all these guys, and you say, wow, they should be doing well. What's wrong with them? They don't win these games against good teams. They beat like the bad teams. They won a lot of games, but that's the reason the Rays and the Orioles and the Astros and stuff keep beating them. That's not going to work. I don't think it's going to change in the playoffs either. For whatever reason, they're not stepping up against the elite competition as much talent as they have. Now, don't get this twisted. They have some excellent power numbers for the team. Offensive stats, if you look at it, they're right there. They can really hit the long ball. I think the Blue Jays, though, I don't think they'll get out of the first round. I don't think they'll get out of the first round. Um, I think they, with the talent that they have, they're just in the wrong division again. Like, if you're in the East, you're in the West, you got stiff competition here. Uh, Tampa Bay, they are already in the playoffs. They have the second best record in the entire American League. Um, would it surprise you to know that offensive stats, they're in the top 5, 6 in the AL? I always think of this team as a pitching team. Look, they pitching wise, here's the thing about the Rays, too. Kind of the Orioles have the same strength. Can't get into their bullpen. Their bullpen is as good as you want to get. Even with guys they've lost. They lost Shane Clanahan, I think, was a Cy Young candidate, and they still were able to win a lot of games. Zach Eflin, they got in the offseason. Wander Franco is out. They're still winning. This team, I think, is really good. Them and Baltimore are clearly, I think, have been the best in the AL. But they're going to have to do it with the wild card because they're still fighting for the lead. But they probably may have to do it with the wild card because they are behind Baltimore a lot. There is the difference between them and the Orioles is almost insignificant. It's very close. That getting that first round bye going to be huge. Whoever gets it, obviously, anyway. But between these two teams is so close. That's going to be a big deal. Twins leading the AL Central by default. They just won 80 games. Offensively, they're not it. They just don't have offense. They went ahead and they brought in Correa, who's kind of struggled. Brian Buxton is probably the other guy, is not having a great season for them. They've done better down the stretch. I think they've been more consistent down the stretch. And they're it's just a division that's not very good. I don't see right now if they were. I think they would play one of the West teams. I think I don't see any reason. I don't see how you beat Seattle and or Texas or Houston if that's the case with them. I think the Twins get eliminated. They don't score enough runs. They don't score enough runs to beat any of these teams. I think this is easy the worst team offensively in the playoffs in the American League. NL. I'm sorry, it's still in the I still some ways think of it. That's kind of old school. think of the Astros as old school as an NL team. No, but they're the World Series champions. They're the leader in the West, not by much. The leader's dwindling. Something's off with the Astros this year. I looked at the stats and I was thinking like maybe the pitching wasn't as good. Stat wise, they're probably about the same. Vasquez is still good. They got the granddaddy back. They got Verlander. Christian Javier, not as good. Something looks not right with the pitching. anyway. Offensively, I think they got great young players. I think Kyle Tucker, I love him as a player. He's an outstanding young player. Jeremy Pena, they still have Otuve. They could very well prove me totally wrong, but they're pitching with something off as far as it goes. And because they're only winning that division by one game. That could be the only thing, though. There's so much more competition in that division. It's so tough. I think but right now, they're going to maintain the bye in that position, but just by the hair of the chin. They're going to get in, I think. I like them better than either of these other two teams in the West. I think they're going to go ahead, get in. Number one, Baltimore Orioles, the best record in the entire American League. They're fantastic. We know how good the Orioles are. We're going to have to go deep dive into that. I think even their starting pitching is getting better as well. We'll go into that when we do the actual Orioles report. NL. Yeah, we're going to do the NL too. Giants in contention. Don't think they get in. I think the Giants are average. I don't think here's the thing in the NL. They're not that far, and I don't think these two teams are far apart. I think the Giants are the worst, though, of the group, so I don't think they get in. They're offensively, they really don't have much there. Their pitching is good enough. I think they've done a good job even getting to the point they are. Marlins, I think this is a miraculous story as well. They have a good starting pitching. They have Ace. They have a guy almost hitting 400. He's not going to hit 400, but he's been hitting 350 all year. That's a tremendous story in and of itself. Marlins, I think, have a shot. I don't know if they get in, but I think it's worth mentioning there as well. Reds, this is the most unique team in the entire MLB. The stolen bases are off the chart. With De La Cruz, they have like 5 guys with 20 plus steals. No pitching at all. Their top guy, no starting pitching anyway. Their top guy, I think Graham Ashcroft, is going on the IL. Alex Diaz, I think, is their closer and has got more wins than anything like that. They're going to steal bases for entertainment purposes. I hope they get in. This Kansas City Royals a few years ago. That's what they are. If you haven't seen them, they are definitely fun to watch. Fun to watch. Cubs. This is about where they should be. I'm still a little salty that they got rid of my man Trey Mancini. Justin Steele is the real deal. Justin Steele is the real deal. Nico Hosmer is outstanding for them at second base as well. Darby Swanson, I think, was a good pickup for them. They're fantastic. I think this is about right. I think they were in this area, 6 wild card contending for it. I don't love them, but I think in the NL, I think they're definitely in the. I definitely think. I'd be surprised if they won a round, but I mean, I'm not surprised that they're here. I think the overall good work by the Cubs. Arizona. I've been inconsistent, but a lot of talent here. Zach Gallen has been really good for him all year long. I think Corbin Carroll and Christian Walker are fabulous on offense. They're pretty much carrying Carroll. I mean, you could pretty much put it in pen. He's the rookie of the year. He's been outstanding for him. I think this team could go far. I think I don't know if they're as good as Atlanta, but I think all these teams here up in this they're all bunched up pretty good. The Phillies. There's a lot of names you could go over. JT Ruminato. I think they're pitching their top 3 guys, Teron Walker, Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, really carried them pitching wise, really good. This team, I've said it several times, they kind of go as Bryce Harper goes. Despite all that, there's talent here, Trey Turner, etc. Bryce Harper is going well for them. They go on these roles. Bryce Harper is out or struggling. They kind of go as Harper goes. He's definitely their number one guy there. He's definitely be the reason why they get far as they can get. A couple more here. Leading the Central, not the Cardinals, who struggled this year. Brewers. Brewers kind of consistently go under the radar, but they're good. Brandon Woodruff, Freddie Peralta, Wade Miley, our friend. Their rotation is really good. This is why they're winning their division. They have some offense. Corbin Burns as well. They're kind of in and out, but their starting pitching is really good. That's why they're in this position. Offensively, they're not bad. But I think in that division, again, Central in their division isn't any good either. But they are right there. Dodgers leading in the NL West. Kind of forgot about the Dodgers. They were the Dodgers and the Astros as good as they've always been. The offense is good. I think Betts is playing out of his mind. This like Ronald Acuna was supposed to be running away with the MVP, and Betts may have caught him. I don't know if he has, but it's been pretty close. Their offense, Freddie Freeman, etc. They're right there. I mean, they basically all this Padres talk. They're not trying to hear it. That's why they kind of went under the radar, and they've been really good offensively, top 5 in a lot of categories. Outstanding pitching. I think his starting pitching is pretty good as well. They should be at number 1. Atlanta, best record in all of baseball, and they're fantastic, flawless. I think you talk about the 49ers roster. This team can't find anything on this roster. Acuna, Albies, Matt Olson, kind of under the radar with 50+ home runs. The Orioles are going to have the toughest time beating Atlanta. Atlanta's fantastic. Sean Murphy probably maybe had the catcher, in my opinion, about the only catcher, but a better season than Adley. Stacked. So there you go. Those are the teams there that the Orioles be looking at in the AL playoff picture, NL playoff picture, as they get into the World Series, as they go forward. Orioles report. Let's deep dive the Orioles a little bit. Felix Bautista again. See, like we're doing this every week, but throwing in the bullpen. So definitely, I saw it in the bullpen where he's throwing. He's been throwing on consecutive days. I really think they're trying to get him in the playoffs. We will see how that goes, but he was actually not just out there. I mean, he was actually throwing in a session. So testing it out, seeing how that goes. Haven't heard much sense on that, but we will see is that as well. Orioles lose 2 out of 3 against the Cardinals, split 4 against the Rays. That's not right. They won the first 2 games against the Astros as well. That Rays series was fantastic. I think the Rays showed how good they are. First game, Orioles, I'd say I've noticed when they do lose, which isn't infrequently this year, it's offense. The bats go quiet. That's kind of why a big concern with playing the Rays. This seems to happen against them a lot as far as the bats go quiet. But the Rays are really, really good. I think the Orioles were very fortunate to go ahead and get those wins against them. But I think the bats really went quiet. I think when they lose, that's what it is. They're scoring runs, and they score a lot of runs. Them and the Astros. Funny, the Astros is kind of like the template for the Orioles as well. They have guys all over the lineup. It's hard to pitch around anybody on the Orioles. So that's as well. Mike Baumann up from AAA. Brian Barker sent down to Norfolk. I don't know exactly what Brandon Hyde's doing with the bullpen. I don't know if he's just getting guys rest or whatever. You figure by now. And here's the thing: I thought both of these guys have been pretty good. I don't understand why either one of them be in Norfolk. I'm not as big on Fujinami, etc. But yeah. So, but I kind of don't know what's going on with the He could be optimistically looking at. He could be, I think, just getting guys rest. That could be it. I I guess. I don't know what's going on with the bullpen. It's strong regardless. I think that's some of it too, that the bullpen has been strong regardless. Heston Kjerstad makes his major league debut, first at bat, hits a homer, hit one in the Astros game on Tuesday night. Very interesting to see what happens this offseason with that. Austin Hayes, Cedric Mullins, and Santander have basically kept these guys in the minors. Colton Cowser, Kjerstad, whatever. I think there's so many guys, AAA, ready to play in the majors. Interesting to see what happens. I don't see how you keep all these guys in AAA another year and get away with that. I don't see how you do that. Also, Adam Jones signs a one-day contract and officially retires as an Oriole in front of a sold-out crowd at Camden Yards. I don't like one-day contracts, honestly. I think it's kind of silly. That's just me personally, I guess. If first of all, I'm not going to say it in this case because Adam Jones really wanted to be here, but players, if you want to retire, my thinking is a lot of times with players, if you want to retire so bad with the team, why don't you just retire when the team, if that's so important. I think in his case, with Adam Jones, team didn't want him. I think he could. The Orioles management is so bad, nothing I think would have got worked out. I think in this case, I'm not big on these sold out crowd. Nevertheless, great to see Adam Jones. Great to see him. This should have happened a long time ago, as far as I'm concerned. Should have had acknowledgement, and this should have happened a million years ago. Glad to see it, and glad to see so many fans come out as well, and stating the obvious: Orioles clinch playoff berth. First time since 2016, the Orioles are in the playoffs. Let's see if they can win the AL East. Let's see if they can win the entire American League, have the number one seed. And I can't remember in my lifetime the Orioles ever winning 100 games. Even in 96, 7, and even recent years, 2012 and 26, when they were good, I don't remember them winning 100 games. Very cool. Very cool that we're getting this as well. Real quick, one more thing. It's that Orioles having a great season. Again, Peter Angelos, he insisted that, we're going to be here 30 more years. Stop. Just stop. That's what I said on. Just stop saying that. Stop saying that. Stop saying anything until you actually sign a lease, bro. Stop again. And I was shocked that everybody put it out there. I was like, just stop. Just stop. Stop reporting. Stop putting that there. He hasn't signed it. Go ahead, sign it, and then talk to him. All right. Thank you very much for watching the Raver Sports Podcast, the Baltimore Sports Podcast for fans like me. Thank you for taking time. Definitely check us out on our Twitter page, Facebook, etc. You have a great rest of your week. Enjoy all the games. Have a great week.